Hello everybody, my name is Damien and I thank you for watching this video. In this video I want to share a bit about myself and the things that I'm dealing with. Now we are entering the end of 2024 and starting the next year almost. And I've been reflecting a bit and I've came to some conclusions and I thought, oh, why let's not share that with you guys so that you might also learn from it, right? So why should I keep offering everything for myself? So my past few years have been like full of self-development and letting go of the old and embracing the new or whatever. Was it actually new or was it already always there? And did I just re-embrace it? For in my life, I had a lot of rejection and neglect from both my childhood and later on. And it was only very much later that I have come to realize that that's actually the case. I've always been a person who always tried to like make myself stand out great and be somebody who has it all together. I always have been looking at how things are supposed to be and having it right. But I was always far away from my own feelings, from whatever is going on in the actual sense of the word, what actually has been going on. And in the last 7 years, I have been working through all the trauma and all the pain and all the, basically false assumptions that I made in life because of the things that I endured and the things that I just naturally came to the conclusion of. And there have been a few things that have changed in the last 7 years, and in this video I want to share some of these things and the things that I learned so that you might also learn from them. So one of those things has been in the emotional regulation side. So when I was younger, it was very hard for me to feel my emotions. And it was primarily due to the fact that at home, when I was a child, it was very unsafe to show emotions and to feel them and to express them. Whenever I had a need, it was often not very clearly seen or met. And often it was a reaction of rejection, and it was very unsafe to express them because I could always get some angry comment or like a very snarky comment or something like that was always attacking me or saying that I was wrong or that I needed to change or heal that thing. But basically all those comments that were directed at me were like attacking the very thing that they wanted to heal, right? So and I had gone through a lot of processing those things that happened back then, but also realizing what emotions truly are. And now I say emotions, and I think it's important to realize as well that there are two things considering the emotional side of life. So there is the emotion and there's the feeling. And the emotions, some people get them mixed the other way around. That doesn't really matter. It's more about the principle behind it. So there's the emotion, and that's the direct reaction. So if you would bully me and tease me or be mean to me, I would be angry. I would be angry, and that's a very strong emotion, right? And also likewise, whenever there is something nice going on and the people are cheery and there is and I get a big compliment or a big present, I can be very happy, joyful. I can be feeling very, 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 very blessed, and that's also a very nice emotion. You would see me smile and laughing and all of these things. Now, there is also the feeling side of things, and feeling is more deep. It's often, for me at least, it's more in my stomach area or sometimes the heart area, and right there you can feel there is the deeper sense of feeling. So whenever you are neutral, let's say, in a sense, in a state of balance, and you're not doing anything, there's nothing outside going on, you're just here in the moment, then you sometimes can feel sometimes a little sadness, or just a little joy, or maybe that little tense of lingering, or like the deeper the things that you would only notice whenever you would take the time to notice them. And at those times you can have them, you can be still and feel those feelings, right? And I've learned that those feelings and emotions are both very important. Now, what I had learned in those 7 years is that emotions are often indicators that something has happened that triggered you. Something has happened that did something within you, right? And so, for example, whenever I see somebody and that somebody comes towards me and says something nasty towards me, then that would trigger me, and that would make me sad or angry or scared, maybe even, all these kind of things. So those are the emotions that are going on. But at that same time, I could be feeling very relaxed and a deep sense of peace. So maybe you notice, maybe you don't notice, but at sometimes you are just okay, and sometimes such a thing happens, it would make you feel like all kinds of things, but whenever that has gone by, you feel fine again, maybe just a little bit grumpy or whatever, but deep down you feel fine. Other side can also be, you can feel like the feeling side of things, like very frustrated, or like something is missing, you don't feel well, but you can be at a party or with loved ones around you, and then you feel like, and then the emotion side is like very active, and it's a great time, but whenever you leave the area and be on your own again, you feel that same sadness, or the same kind of feelings that you felt before. So there's 2 layers to that, and perhaps there's something in the middle, or there's combinations or whatever, but for the sake of this video, there's these 2 layers. And in the healing process that I'd gone through, I found that it is important to embrace both of those feelings. That first of all, they are very important, because they are great indicators of your inner state of being. Are you okay? Whenever somebody asks you, are you okay? What do you really answer? Do you say, I'm okay, because deep down you feel okay, but maybe there's something going on boggling your mind? Or do you have a great time at a party and you feel okay, but deep down there is a sadness, there is this something going on, something is not right, So what do you identify with? And I found that both are very great to identify with, because that would make you able to recognize the present and both the actual reality of what deep down is going on. Now, a lot of people have learned, including myself, that showing those emotions is not permitted. That is a very bad thing to do. Now, there is something to be said. Let's be honest. Whenever you are at certain places or you do certain activities, then some emotions are not the greatest to show. It's for example, if you have a business meeting and somebody says something very triggering to you, then it doesn't help very much to become angry and to hit the other person on the face. That's not a very professional thing to do, so they say. It's also not a very good emotion regulatory thing to do, because, we all can sense that it's not the best thing to do. But the feeling, that the emotion that you show at the moment is genuine. It does happen, right? And part of healing, in the healing journey of the emotions and feelings, has to do with recognizing what happens at such moments, and thinking and letting the prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, work and say, well, why is this? Why does this happen? Why am I becoming so angry? Why am I wanting to hit this person? It's a very dangerous thing, because you will come, if you really are honest about it, you will come to memories and conclusions about your past. You will come to things like your childhood. Maybe in the past people have bullied you and you were not allowed to be saying something about it. Or else maybe they would even hit you more, bully you more. Maybe you got rejected by your parents or by your family. Maybe your friends never liked you, because whenever you left them, they would gossip about you, Such memories will come up, for certain. And they are very, 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 very not nice. I've been through them all. And it's very uncomfortable. It's very hard to go through them. That's also why trauma recovery takes such a long time, to have those feelings and emotions stabilize again. This process of healing the emotions and healing your feeling has a lot to do with processing your past, has a lot to do with retraining yourself. Because let's face it, if in the past you have been bullied by your own family or friends or people you were close by or related with, that really does, for a child, that's huge, and a child needs to learn to trust again. So whenever somebody in your adulthood, then you have, let's assume that you have not healed all those things yet. At that moment, whenever something like that happens, it's just like a repeat of the same hurt you had as a child. So no wonder that your feelings and your emotions are going all the way, and the feelings will be sad, like more, but they can be very strong. They are quiet, but can be very strong. And your emotions can go all the way, from avoidant to maybe hitting, or maybe like whatever. And what I have noticed in my healing journey, and also talking with a lot of people, is that the way we react to these emotions and those things happening and the feelings is something that we had learned as a child. Because as a child we had to learn to cope with it. They are called survival mechanisms, and not without reason, because we needed them to survive. Because, well, if we leave our parents, then we will be left for dead, right, as a child. So we do need to somehow fit in, somehow be protected, somehow get whatever we need and want. Because if we don't, then we will die. So whatever works, whatever is the thing that what works for that child, is the thing that we learn for how to deal with those things that happen. Now, this is a process of healing in which also I need to recognize that some reactions to things happening are not very healthy, and you need to be serious on that. You need to let go of your pride, because if you would encounter such things that happened in the past, they would say it's only it's because of them and they are to blame and I have done nothing wrong. If you would stick in that mentality, like you're the victim, then you can never properly process it, because you would always be pointing at the other and never take the L, so people say, and never say I have lost something and grieve about it, and then figure out what to do with it. Because if you would always point towards the other, then you can never do something about it yourself, because then the other needs to change. But what have you done? You are also not perfect, so you can just take it and learn to process it. And there is and whenever you get to that point, that's a very liberating thing, and you can finally let go of the old. So that's one thing about feelings and emotions. Another thing is about the social skills that I had to learn a lot about. Social skills are hard, very hard. That's also why most people start learning about them from a very young age. Because let's look at the face value. When a baby doesn't know how to communicate, it cannot let the parents know whenever it's hungry or whenever it needs to want to be cuddled, or such things. So communication starts already at a very young age, and we have a lot of experience in our lives with communication. Also, no communication is also communication. So whatever we do, me even talking to this camera, me walking a certain way, there is a misconception that communication is only about what we say. It's also like all these other things about how we say it, how we relate to other people, and how we act out on certain occasions, and what we do and don't do, what we notice and what we don't notice. And it's about how I relate to other people and how that works out. So that's communication. And because of my childhood, it has been very difficult for me to communicate well, because I had not a lot of experience in that. So I attended special education as a child. Now, I lacked a lot of the social skills back then, but cognitive, I was very smart. But I did not have a lot of people who I could communicate at my level too. So that would be very hard for me to properly train, so to speak. But also it was very hard because I had a lot of traumatic experiences. So I would like close, and I would become very introverted. Well, I'm actually pretty extroverted, I love to speak with people and communicate, and I love to have a good time with other people. But I was so insecure about my own social skills and my own being, and also with all the emotional regulation stuff that I just talked about. Now, being with people has been always a very sensitive topic for me, because I really wanted to, but I couldn't. Both because I was insecure and I didn't allow myself to, but also because it was very hard, and I did not have the skills to do so. Now, how did I learn those skills? Once I was so far in healing through the process and me acknowledging I need to become better at social skills, which is not a fun thing to acknowledge, because it's choking your pride like a million times. Then I learned to ask and observe and practice. I had learned to observe, learn, and practice so much that I basically became just like how a child learns to communicate. I didn't learn it from books really, even though some books were really helpful. But most often I would just go to some social gathering and I would just talk and try. And also ask, how do you do this? With some certain individuals who are trustworthy, who I would feel like they can share these kind of things with me. I would ask them, how do you do this? And you know what's funny? I also asked them, by the way, about all these emotional stuff. And you know what's funny? That whomever I asked, almost all of them struggled with the same kind of things that I did. Almost all of them, in some way or some other way. Some were really good at something and so on, and bad at some other thing, but most often I felt like I'm not alone in this. Whilst I was always being blamed as a child for lacking skills, lacking things. So that was a very comforting thing, and also very confusing, because I had learned that actually I was not the problem, which was interesting. Now, the communication skills, what I had learned is that there is you and there is me, and we are both individuals. We are both a person with our own desires, belief systems, and our own experiences, and so on and so on. So we all have our own worlds, and we are all the center of our own worlds in some way or somehow. And whenever I relate to the other person, then there is this tendency to think about my own worldview, to relate with another person, for example, because it has to be like that, or it's very mechanical, like I need something from you, so and thus I ask you. And that's a very transactional way of relating to other people. And that's how I lived like all my life. Like I need to fit in so that I can be accepted, and I need to do this so I can get that, right? So that was the primary way how I first related. But later on, I discovered that actually relating is not at all about transactional stuff. Not at all. It's about being with each other and realizing that you can trust each other. And when there is trust, then there can become a relationship. Like nothing, it doesn't have to be romantic. That's not what I mean. But it's more like there is you and me, and we both have our own worlds. Whenever we acknowledge each other, whenever we say to each other, via whatever means we can say such things, both verbal and non-verbal, that we both can exist and we both are okay and fine with each other, that's the best start of every social contact that you can think of. Let me explain with an example. When there is me and there is a person that I think is interesting and I want to become friends with, if there is me only speaking with the other person about whatever, something that would make him also like me, or she like me, whatever, just for the friendship, I'm talking about friendship for now, then there is this transactional thinking that would make me be overly busy with thinking about how I come across, how I would tell my tale, how I would make sure that the person thinks XYZ for me, because if I do such and such, then the person is going to like me. It was always like an infinite tree of the decision tree. Like if I do this, okay, then that, then left or right, okay, then I need to do this, right? It was crazy. It was like a gigantic tree it had become in my mind. And it wasn't very effective either. So it was very hard. Yet at that time, from the healing and practicing, all these things, I learned that once I more or less accepted myself for who I am, I figured out that actually now I accept myself and I accept the other, then that's already like 5 miles ahead of most people, how they relate. So whenever there is the other, like you on the other side, and then I acknowledge you and I see you and you are allowed to exist in my world, then already you feel some kind of connection, right? Now, you don't have to feel connected with me because you're just another person I don't see. But it's the idea. So I have found that whenever there is no reason for you not to be, there's no condition for you, whether you may or not be existing in my world, that's the best way to connect. Because if there is a mutual, we are allowed to exist in each other's world, that we don't have to think about impressing each other, and we can just talk and see each other. And if I see there's something wrong with you, I can ask, how are you doing? What's wrong? And this is great because when I relate with other people like that, then I don't need to fear. I don't need to fear for you to let me go. I don't need to fear for did I say something wrong? I don't need to fear for whatever. I can just be and be with you, and it's great. And it may just exist. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it stems from me accepting myself. I may exist, so you may exist, And if we both may exist, we can support each other. So I think that with these two things, that I have learned so many things in life. And these are just two of the things, right, that I have learned. But I think they are amazing, and I wanted to share them with you. It's a bit of my story, it's a bit of the things I learned, a bit of my testimony, and I hope you can do something with it too. So I thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. You can do so below the title of this video. And also, you can just have a nice day. I hope you're doing well. Stay blessed, stay healthy.